What's going on?
I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding. From the words I spit, so sharp, so freezing. So cold, behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts feeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll still be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If you wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to Dead or Alive on the Dead or Full Spectrum channel. It is our Sunday night show. Here we are at 8 p.m. Eastern, about to get started with about 2 hours of the best in paranormal topics and discussions and incredible guests as well. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. Hope you had a great weekend for Father's Day last weekend. We were gone, but now we are back. And Ken, good to see you. Everything okay?
Everything is just peachy. Thank you very much. It's quite hot everywhere in the world right now. No different here. And the big news here is Karen Reed is free.
Oh my God.
Breaking news. Karen Reed is free. Because, oh my God, that has been a thing up here, probably nationwide. But
it's bigger than bombing Iran. It's
I took it in small doses because you have to or you'd go insane. But tomorrow night on Patreon, I promise you, for our Patreonites, we're going to talk about this more at length, or maybe in the second half of the show. It all depends what our mood is. But with all the data and science and physics, which are important to me, the thing is common sense kind of prevailed here. Hello, Jonathan. Hello, Liz. Everybody in chat tonight. Got a great show for you tonight.
Yeah, I think that, again, most importantly is that we take that time tomorrow and be prepared, Ken, because I was speaking with Sandy Andrews and I was speaking with Gene, and they have hours and hours of evidence from their investigation to present tomorrow night.
Hours and hours.
Yeah, so we're going to have to set some time aside to be sure. Again, Father's Day last weekend. Ken is a father, a papa, and a grandpa. I'm not a father, but I play one at home.
TV,
my father's dog, yeah. Took my dog just recently to a new groomer. There was one that I went to, my best friends, but the lady that works there, she's getting up there in age. So I said, let me go to this place. Get ready, Ken. Zen Grooming. They don't use crystals, but I think that's the next step. Zen Grooming.
Looks like daycare.
And it's expensive. Dog grooming is expensive. There's a bathing, the nails, and a haircut for the summer. This is what my dog looked like. Well, Fluffy. It's my dad's dog. Don't judge me on the name. The dog's a rescue.
I thought it was Steven Tyler.
and that's before, and this is after. So, it's a really great place. They do a good
Oh,
job.
yeah. Nice.
Zen Grooming. And I have to give a quick shout out because he might show up in chat tonight. This is the coolest name ever. The guy lives in Toronto. He's been helping me with all my computer issues, which all our regulars are quite familiar with. And the guy's name is Harsh. Harsh. He should have played hockey. It's a killer name. So I want to thank him also for helping me set up the new computer. Hopefully, right now it looks great. It'll stay that way. So I'm hoping that'll be the situation. But did you have a good Father's Day, Ken?
I had a wonderful Father's Day. It was quiet around here for reasons that I choose not to disclose right now. Not a family issue, little health issue with me, but I'm back on my feet
He's
again.
back.
And
What do you get as a Father's Day present? That was even hard for us as kids, me and my two sisters, to get something from my dad. He got a nice blanket to keep him warm and some leg weights for exercise. What'd you get?
I get silence.
Silence. That's the best gift ever, isn't it?
It's just kind of I have silence.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, the reminder bell for all the wonderful comment here on the channel, the content, and also thumbs up.
Yep.
Very important. And I'm seeing thumbs up. Okay. Let me see if you guys can get that really going tonight. Again, you're just clicking on a little icon below the screen. That's all it takes. Move your mouse over there, left click, and all of a sudden we see a whole bunch of thumbs up. So again, it helps the algorithm. It's important for you guys to participate, not only in chat, but in the thumbs up region. So we'll leave it to you. But we've got returners tonight, Ken. It's always wonderful when we have family coming back to see us.
Speaking of the coolest names that you've ever heard, we got two of them tonight, and so glad to have them back. They're on the road, they're off the road, and we caught them at a good time this evening. Without further ado, want to bring them in. You know them from A&E's Ghost Hunters. You know them from a great documentary, The Sleepless Unrest, and wildly popular podcast, Adventures with Brichel. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, their upcoming appearances, so forth, so on. Without further ado, let's bring them in. Brian Murray and Richel Stratton. Oh, I got him.
We got him.
Hello.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Thank you for having us. I like the intro.
Yes.
Oh, Melissa, will you stop it? We love them.
We love them. It's like Melissa's fangirl. I guess she saw you in Michigan. I think I saw that in the comments. Michigan, I guess. Okay.
She investigated with us and had a good ass time.
Yeah.
Brian, I would have wore a Red Sox hat tonight. I didn't know we were going American League East theme
I'm just
tonight.
going to say this. I need a Red Sox hat.
I get you a Red Sox hat. I know a guy.
I bet you do. And I will take it.
Yeah, they do. They rock. They rock. They sure did. Miss Melissa sure did. All right. So to get into it, when last we saw our heroes, I think you guys were off in search of skinwalkers. How'd that turn out?
Oh, God. Well, how does it usually turn out when you go searching for skinwalkers?
Well, as people normally do, they just go off, wander through the desert, and go look for skinwalkers. So,
oh, we didn't wander through the desert. No, we were talking about it, but we haven't done that yet.
Are they in Walmart now or something?
We got into a hairy situation around here.
Yeah, where we're from.
Which is weird, I know.
How was-
But based off of all the stuff that was happening, a lot of it seemed like skinwalker stuff, and we're like, we're not supposed to have those in Illinois. But I don't know. We were just talking earlier about there's been a lot of sightings of different,
Cryptids, different things in our area popping up left and right.
yeah. So maybe we have skinwalkers now. Who knows?
This area that we live in, Alton, Illinois, there's a whole lot of Native American. It's everywhere here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we've never really grew up with the stories of skinwalkers and things like that. It's always been about You
The Piesol bird.
Yeah, the Piesol bird. That would be something you guys probably don't know about. But if you ever get on a cryptid site and look up the Piesol bird, it's amazing. The story's amazing.
Yeah.
But what we encountered when we were doing a little project and having a good time, if you do your checklist of things that you've encountered and had experiences, and then you put them up against the checklist of a skinwalker, there was nothing that didn't match.
Other than the fact that it was in an area that they aren't well known for. So,
Yes.
like,
Yeah, I mean, those things, as far as I know, talking to John and Stan, those things will eat your lunch. So, did you, all I know is in Chicago, they've seen Mothman. They've
Just
seen
literally-
these flying humanoid things. And, Chicago is like, people like say, where do you want to go? New Orleans, Savannah. It's like, man, I know a lot of people in Chicago, investigators and people like that. I want to go to Illinois, be honest with you.
You've been to Alton, though, right?
I have never been to Alton,
Okay.
but my buddy Troy Taylor and a few others have told
Right.
me all about Alton.
And
you
like,
should come.
yeah, and Chris Fleming's just in Chicago.
There you go.
So there's a lot of people from the area that's here. We were literally talking about the Mothman sighting before we came on tonight
Yeah.
in Chicago.
There you go. What do you think? Is there a Mothman or is there Mothmen? Are there Mothwomen? Because there seems to be like a species going around. Can't be one individual.
I think that the species.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's probably more than one. I think they multiply.
Well, they'd have to be to sustain, right? I mean,
Otherwise, we were talking about earlier too. Otherwise, they're possibly using portals to get around. Because how can they be all over the place?
It's very interesting because at the same time they were having Mothman sightings in Chicago, there were people in other parts of southern Illinois having them. There were people in Indiana that were having them at the same time, like in the same week. So I kind of do think that it's probably more than one. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be, because it's funny, because I know you guys do a lot of true crime, and I'm going to move off this because I want to get into that a little bit. And when they talk about cryptids, you're talking about, to me, a learned behavior, right? Because things that are hiding in plain sight, like a lot of serial killers.
Yeah.
I give a cryptid talk, and I start off with people like Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy, and everybody just, the hell has that got to do with anything? It's learned behavior, because they were in major metropolitan areas, but they managed to assimilate into their population as to not draw attention to themselves. So who's to say, like, a sentient, thinking, instinctive creature can't do the same thing to not draw attention to themselves, but hide in plain sight?
That's one of the best things I've ever heard somebody say about that. That's all. I mean, you're right.
Yeah. I mean,
Ken, you're the man.
I'm one of the men.
one.
One of the top dogs.
All right, so let's talk serial killers, because what else do you do on Sunday?
Obviously.
When you research these things, and as you do on your podcast, because seeing some of the things you got into, I was like, hot diggity dog, I want to talk to you about this. Has there been a particular case, because they're all disturbing, but is there one that kind of stuck with you that you'd call, and they're all disturbing, but uniquely kind of unnerving to you?
What is that one? I'm trying to think of his name and I can't think of it, but it was so disturbing to me. And on our podcast, I asked Brian, because it was Brian's pick. I was like, what is wrong with you? I feel like it was like Randy or something, but I'm not positive. The one that would basically, when I was researching it, I was like, I cannot look up any more information about this. I am so just appalled by all of it. And it was like the victims that he would always sprawl out their bodies in display of certain things and
Pose them?
them and stuff like that. But very vulgar. It was all about, I don't know.
Well,
It was a. I'm
There
trying
are
to
a
think
few
of
of them. Hillside Strangler did
yeah, they
that.
put them on the hills. I think BTK was probably the one for me.
that one didn't. I don't feel like I want to say it. I'm like, that one didn't bother me that much. No, it was one that I wasn't super familiar with. That. Damn it! Why can't I?
We'll
think
find
of the
out
name?
as soon as we're done. We'll find out who she's talking about.
Yeah,
I know. We did. Not Richard Ramirez, but
that one
that's a
didn't.
Night Stalker.
Yeah,
We did the Green River Killer,
that one didn't really.
Gary Ridgway.
Mm-hmm.
We did Bundy.
Mm-hmm.
We
did the family of serial killers.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
I just think with BTK for me, because to me it was the pictures that he took of himself, where he would bind himself up and tie himself up and take those pictures.
He was an artist, Brian.
Yeah. And then draw them in his cells. He would make drawings of this.
Again, an artist.
He is an artist. That's terrible.
No, we shouldn't talk like that. Never mind. What is that guy's name? You're the one who picked him.
You're kind of ringing a bell here, but I'm not.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
There's Raider.
I know what you're talking about, the pictures of himself, but I'm not. No, not that guy.
So the BTK would literally, there's a story of him, and he basically said this is a true story. I heard him say it on some documentary. He went and took his kids to the Boy Scout camp. When they went to sleep at night,
Yeah.
he went, dug a hole, tied himself up, and took pictures of himself hanging from a tree, being dug in the ground. He had women's makeup on. He was in women's outfits, and he almost got stuck up there where he couldn't get out.
Yeah,
And
explain that. To
you
your
could see
son.
those pictures that he did that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm getting put the lotion in the basket vibe from what you're saying right now.
It was like he waited till the kids went to sleep to go do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these things, circling back around to them, also have like a sort of paranormal bouquet to them, right? Because a lot of these guys do this in servitude of the devil. And, Dahmer had a shrine that nobody knew about till he went in the house, and Ramirez and Berkowitz and all of these people. So question, I guess, is, do you think that a lot of them are actually influenced by something malevolent, or do they kind of use it like a not a get out of jail free card, but use them to just kind of say, the devil made me do it, and for whatever conscience that they have, it's appeased a little bit by saying, well, I'm doing it in servitude of, the Dark Lord, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, how does that all play into the psyche of these?
I have no idea, but I know after us researching all of it, every single one of them said that they knew it was wrong, that it wasn't normal, that they shouldn't be doing it. But all of them were like, it was this like just strange need that they had to do it. And then like not a lot of them claim that like they were doing it for the devil or anything like that, but they did claim that it was like a dark side of them, that they were like, I just have this thing, and the only way to make it quiet down is to actually do it. Like, but it was weird because in researching, a lot of these serial killers like all served our country at some point.
A lot of them were in the military.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot of them did not have great childhoods, and then they went into the military. And I don't know if like a combination of, your family, like your parents, supposed to be the ones that love and protect you and care for you, and they don't treat you the way that, they don't look out for you. And then you join the service, and then you get taught how to essentially kill people.
Yeah. I mean, Ramirez.
I mean, he's satanic there.
Yeah.
I mean, Ramirez got booted out of the Church of Satan. How bad do you have to be?
Right.
Yeah.
Like they don't even want it. But the Church of Satan is kind of like a different thing anyway. So leads me to the next question. I want you guys to think about this. If you had one case that had a paranormal connection to it, like let's assume for sake of argument that there was that type of thing that was going on. If you had one case, past or present, that you would have loved to investigate, where would you go on that? What would you do? What would you like to dig into?
Well, this Herb Baumeister stuff that's recently popped up because of the Netflix special, I think that is a paranormal story there. I think things are going on there in that home for sure. For me, though, I would want to be a part of the Ted Bundy case. I think if there was a paranormal element there, I think that's the one I would be most interested in. Why are you looking at me?
I'm just thinking.
I mean, that's back to the question you asked a second ago. Do I think that they do this stuff because of a paranormal nature? I think I know, like, you have the people that are Satanists, and I think they do some of those things for offerings, for sure. But then, like Berkowitz, when he said that he did it because the dog was basically telling him to do it, and he later recanted that. Arthur Shawcross, that's the one you're talking about.
Yes, that one.
Shawcross
Was the one I could barely even research. Like Brian's like, oh, you need to watch this. I was like, I can't watch it. It's been too much. Like I've already got too much information that I'm about tapped out, and I won't be able to do the podcast if I look up any more of this stuff. But I don't know. I think that some of them use it as like a cop out because it's easier than to admit that they actually did these things because they wanted to. But I think that there are some that, there could be paranormal involved with that. Like they could be possessed. It could be for a ritual of some sort. I don't know. But that's why I think they're so fascinating because no matter how much research you do on any of them, you can find like correlations between like how they grew up, but you never really can find like a root. That's the thing that caused them to do it. Like that is like a root reason as to why.
They're fascinating because they're I think they're so intelligent. They're so smart to get away with things like that forever. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that they know it's wrong, but I think that's the thrilling part about it is that they know it's wrong and that they can get away with it for a while. I think the ones that use a paranormal element is just another way for them to control what they did. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think, again, they kind of appropriate it to whatever's left of their conscience, whatever that is. It just empowers them to keep going on because it's not me. I kind of step outside my own head type.
And it makes them about them again.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that leads to the question. All right, most famous. Yeah, go ahead.
My serial killer is the giggling granny. Remember, I loved her so much.
Why are you smiling?
Because she's just basically killed everyone that pissed her off. It was so, like, she was just so happy about it. She's like, meh. Like,
what did she do? Would she poison them? How did she do it?
Oh, she poisoned a bunch. She apparently, shoved a needle into one of her grandkids.
Jeez.
Listen, she wasn't a great lady, okay, but she had a cool nickname because, like, if you're a serial killer and you get called the giggling granny, like that's a pretty good nickname. And she claimed that she didn't do it. She still claims I didn't do that.
A lot of them do.
But like the whole thing is like you made her mad, and then you ended up dead. Which okay, all the women in the chat, can you appreciate like
look at her smiling. She's smiling about it.
If you're just tuning in, welcome to Sunday with Brian and Richel, where we talk about the lighthearted things out there.
Of serial killing.
I need someone to agree that they get why it's like, please, guys, throw your girl a bone, please.
Right. Ladies, there are a ton of you out there. Sound off, weigh in.
Listen, guys, you can weigh in too. If
It's a cool name.
It's a cool name, and
What would your name be, Ken?
My serial killer name?
Yeah, like give it one. Give it a go.
Probably the same as my porn name, Rock Drywall.
I like it.
Okay.
The Spackle Killer.
Ah,
I like this. Well,
what would you be called?
give me a minute. I'll have to think of one.
Bulldoze Brian.
What would I be? I don't know. That's a good one.
Yeah. Hey, I got to ask you though, like the most famous of them. This doesn't have to do with a serial killer per se, but Amityville. Where do you come on down? Is that a thumbs up or a thumbs down from you, as far as the entirety of that story? Someone being possessed by demons and voices in their head, or is this a guy who just took way too many drugs, or and the Warrens' involvement and all of that, and the books and the deals. I think we all know the story, but how you guys feel about that whole deal?
Oh man, this is a good question, Mr. DeFeo, huh?
I was gonna say I want to believe it.
I think the movie and the story is great.
Yeah.
I love the story. I loved watching the film. I've seen several documentaries from him talking about this. And in the beginning, he did say that it was like a demonic force that made him do that. And then later on, he was like, nah, it really wasn't that. You know what I mean? And then you heard the story about the Lutzes making this whole thing up. I have personally never known anybody that's investigated there.
No, no one has ever come in. The stories that happen is no one ever lives there for more than a year. It's like, well, that's because people get sick of people looking in their windows or knocking on the door asking to take a tour, or all the looky-loos, the invasion of privacy. That's where this whole idea of stigmatized properties comes from, where you have to disclose it in some states, or you have to disclose it if someone asks you, was there a suicide, a murder, a haunting? A lot of that comes from that whole case, because there are people who's like, nah, I never had anything happen there, but yet people have little pieces of the door and stuff.
I know that I had a captain in the Marine Corps that his aunt lived in the same neighborhood.
Oh yeah.
So he would tell me about the house, and because he knew I was into ghosts and things like that, and he would tell me that he never once thought anything about that house other than he's heard of the story of what happened there with the people. No ghost stuff. He hadn't heard anything about that. And he said he spent a lot of time with his aunt.
Mm-hmm.
As far as what I believe on it, I believe there was a bad thing that happened. And when bad things happen, entities can remain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are things that are probably there. I don't know if it was to the extreme that the movie or the books made out, but I'm sure that when there's an untimely death like that, stuff will remain.
Sure. And sometimes we create from what they call, oh God, losing my train of thought, got derailed, thought forms.
I know what you're talking about, and I can't think of
just thought forms that, we can physically create something that may not be there because of our intentions, because, and I mean, I truly believe that, not that we're going to create some zombie or something like that, but activity can be turned on by us.
Right.
Tulpas.
I think that if you, me, Rochelle went into that house to investigate tonight, we are already going in with the mindset that something is there because of what we've been told, what we've read, what we've seen. And it would make for a hard investigation.
Yeah. I mean, everybody comes at it a different way. I like to know everything. I've been doing it long enough that, believe me, you got to learn how to do this. To all you budding investigators out there, I want to know everything so I know who the players are, but you have to learn to turn it off.
Right.
You know, and it's easier said than done because that's always, oh, somebody died here, something happened here. But you got to be able to turn out. Some people don't want to know anything. Now, I respect that.
That's kind of me. I kind of want to go with whatever the evidence tells me because of the way my brain thinks.
Yeah.
Literally, if I know DeFeo killed 6 people in that house, I'm walking into that area already knowing that, and I know, even not consciously trying to do it, my question is going to lead. My questions that I ask are somehow going to lead to that at some point. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I think when it comes to the Amityville house for me, is I remember watching that movie with my mom. It was like, I think one of the first scary movies that she like let me watch, and then like seeing it's based on a true story. I think that I wouldn't want to investigate it because it sounds horrible. It's not the investigator in me, it's the child in me that wants to believe the ghost story. So I don't want to hear that it's not real. So I don't want to go. I can't go. Like if we were allowed to go investigate, I couldn't go investigate because I'm like, if I don't want to debunk anything. I want it to all be real. I want the flies to be forming all around. Like, you know.
I actually like her answer there.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like it's like
I get it.
a
She wants to
childhood
hold on to the
memory
fairy
that I'm
tale.
like, I want to hold on to that. And
Get it.
as an investigator, going in there, I wouldn't be able to hold on to it.
Yeah, I get it.
So, I mean, I even watched the docs where they said that everything was fake, and I was like, you're lying. You just don't want to all the publicity right
Why
now.
are
I'm
you
like,
ruining
it's fine.
me?
Stop. You did it because you
Okay.
were by the devil.
So, in the event that I don't see you guys again till like New Jersey in November or something. By the way, I was the one who was putting weird notes on your table. If you found any, yeah, that was me.
You didn't know if it was you or Bob or Steve or the Wraith Chasers, or we didn't know who it was. Okay, we were just
we are legion. We are many.
surprisingly we get a lot of notes on our table
We
that
do
are
get a
very
lot of
weird.
notes. I've had notes on my vehicles.
Notes on vehicles.
Remember my hotel room?
Yeah, hotel room. So I put a
Yeah.
note. I was like, someone slid a note under my door.
Why, that wasn't me. That's weird.
I was like, okay, well,
No,
glad they know where I'm at.
Mine just said I had a balance.
that's
I was watching too much of the movies you're not supposed to watch.
yeah, no, that's just borderline creepy. I had to get there early because Satori has to, whatever. So when you guys weren't there, it's like, I think I'll just go over there and mess with them.
We welcome it. It's fun.
In the event that I don't see you in a private moment, in a very public moment, I'm going to ask this question because I know we got you for an hour. I want to bring George in.
Okay.
If you're talking about stigmatized properties, and this is something because of geography that's near and dear to my heart here in Rhode Island, you guys had an extended experience at the Conjuring House.
Correct.
With Kendall, Vera, you were doing Sleepless Unrest, phenomenal. If you haven't seen it, what's wrong with you folks? You need to see this. There's a lot of streaming services you can watch it. So I have to ask you in terms of like, I can go with the, what do you think of it now? And maybe you want to walk away from that. Like a lot of people, I don't even think about it anymore. It's gone crazy. But when we talk about influences on a place, when we talk about movies, people came into that place with a certain mindset. And I'm not sure it was healthy for either the house or the spirits that reside there because they came at it from a really weird perspective. Pushing and possessions. And this isn't just YouTubers. This was network talent that was coming on there doing that. So before, I get out of here, I want to ask you your feelings on a place that, unlike a lot of people, that come and go from 7 to midnight, you spent an extended period of time there. So you can probably speak to that, better than anyone who's investigated that place.
I love that house. I think I always say that it is the most peaceful, active location that I've ever been to. It's active all the time.
Right.
But it's also like I would sit outside drinking coffee in the morning. It was very calming and like beautiful. I'm like, this is like peaceful and nice. But when we went into the house, like you said, there's been movies and all the stories and everything about it. So it's very hard to go into a situation knowing that. But we tried our hardest going in to treat it like it's just a regular investigation. We don't know what happened here, even though we do know what happened there. But we always go into investigations trying to be respectful and trying to let the evidence tell us what is actually going on. And I will say that that house and the land, the house for me, I feel like has a personality.
Yep.
And I think that depending on how you treat it and the time of day, it can kind of change the personality. Like it can be a little bit. There were times that we had been in there that I feel like got borderline. You were going to figure out why that house had its reputation. Because there were some things that were like slightly, they didn't seem like they were the most welcoming. It was like, okay, well, I don't want to be levitated off the ground over here. So like, I think we should slow our roll a little bit. But the majority of the time, it was like they just were interested in us. And because I think we didn't come in there claiming that it was demonic or anything. We were just talking to them.
Just trying to live in the house as we would live on our own.
Yeah.
Not really going around and asking all the questions, just being in the space.
And hanging out with them and being like, hey, is anybody in here? Can you, like, if you're in here, can you let us know type thing? And yeah, there was only one time, and it was in the film, that I think that Corey had said something about Brian doesn't think you can do it or something like that. We were
sitting at the table.
Yeah, and all of a sudden which I don't know if it shows on the film as like scary as it was there, loud bangs all around the dining room, and then all of a sudden the door flew open.
Library.
Yeah, and that door has like a latch on it that like hooks over.
Right.
I was like, let's not say that we don't think they can do things, because I think they can do all the things. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't want them mad at me because I have to sleep here.
Yeah. I mean, I've spent, oh God, I've been there 40 times. You know what I mean? I've done overnights there. Helped out the kids once in a while when they had tours. And the first thing is like everything that you've ever seen in the movie, put it out of your mind. And some people were like, okay, cool. And some people were like disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what you're.
I think that's how I would be at the Amityville house. Right. I'd be like, but again, I think that has to do with,
this is
a fond childhood memory of watching scary movies with my mom.
This is going to sound weird to a lot of people, but for me, it doesn't.
Yeah.
That house to me, man, I hold that super close. I love the house. I feel like it's a part of me. And every investigation that I've gone on since that, those nights, those weeks, something seems to tie me back to that house. If we talk about the house, people ask us about it and we talk about it, something will happen at our own home. Something will pop up in the next day or two about the place, or we'll have a dream that we need to be there. There is a part of that house that stuck with me that I want to go there constantly.
Yeah.
I don't feel like she said, there's a personality. So I don't feel like there's something massively negative there. I feel like there are things on the outside that are different that are what lies inside. And I think if you do the wrong things, you'll find out that there is something inside that could possibly get nasty if it needed to.
Right. I would say that I think whoever or whatever is outside, I think is a little bit more unsettling than whoever or whatever is inside.
Right, right.
Yeah,
Well,
like
the history, even Andrea will tell you in researching her book, she relied a lot on, um, you know, verbal accounts, interviewing people, rather than, going back in the books. And that's where there was a little bit of an issue there people took, um, where you're listening to anecdotes and anything. But I agree that it's the type of place that enhances your intentions, if they're good or if they're bad. I just always wonder with the people, especially the YouTube crowd that came in there and everybody was possessed and scratched and thrown around, if that just exacerbates that whole thing. But,
I've
you
been
know,
we spent 2 weeks there, and we've been there 3 or 4 other times, and I can honestly say at no time did I feel threatened or anything negative at all. I felt like the place was amazing.
And
Jen and Corey will always be the owners to me
yeah.
of the
yeah,
building, whether they have the title, the deed, whatever it is, they'll always be the owners to me. I would only choose to go back to that home if it was in their hands. You know what I mean?
it,
I can only hope that, all of this ship kind of rights itself, but, I'm pessimistic about it, which is sad. But I'm going to bring George in here because I know you guys are got family stuff to do. So I want to turn it over to you, George. We'll be back to say goodbye to you folks.
All
All
right.
right, Georgie, take it away, man.
been uh, been to the Conjuring House a bunch of times, huh?
Yeah.
Love it.
That's great. Did you guys know I wrote a book with Andrea Perrin called In
No,
the Flicker? Did you know that?
no, but now it's
Yeah.
going to be added to the list.
George,
Never been to the Conjuring House.
you know,
You've never been there?
Never been to the Conjuring House.
Let's go.
Never invited. Actually told to stay away.
Wow.
No, that's not true. But I've
It's
never
like,
been.
who
I know.
told you to stay away?
I drove past it once,
Yeah.
but no, never been on the property
You'll
ever.
drive. Every
drove
time
past
we
it
go
many
there,
times.
we drove past it.
It's a hard
I
place to find.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
right,
Sorry.
Our
Our bad.
very special guest tonight, Trish Stratus, Brian Doyle Murray, and Brian Murray and Richel Stratton. Sorry, I wanted to.
Just like,
It's a wrestling thing. Brian will explain it to you later.
like her.
I thought you were having a stroke. Oh God! Get
Brian
that.
Doyle Murray. That's pretty good.
Something's wrong.
You guys are close with Cody and Satori, correct?
Yes, we love
Right.
them. We're in their wedding.
Well, here's
Right.
something.
Yeah.
Still,
that-
we're still
Are
in
we
the wedding,
still?
right, guys?
Now I'm looking at Ken's screen. He's in the green room right now, and he's not in the room, so I don't have to worry about aggravating him when I bring this kind of stuff up. I just want one day with them. I just want one day of driving them nuts with all the different ideas that I have. Let me ask you if you guys have discussed this with each other or even with them. But wouldn't it be interesting with their abilities to contact one of these serial killers? Not for confession, not for anything else other than understanding the mindsets of some of these killers. Speaking to a Ted Bundy who was definitely not short on conversation.
I mean, I think that it would be cool, but I don't actually think they get to pick and choose who comes through.
That's not true according to them.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's been a couple of historic figures that they wanted to reach out to specifically to speak to and succeeded.
I feel like I know one.
Well, they made a Broadway play out of them. So that's one.
No, I'm
That's
talking. I know someone that they spoke to.
Who?
But
I'll tell you later, bruh. Gosh.
Man.
But conceptually, it is a way of reaching into the mind and wondering as to whether or not that they've regained their sanity on the other side, number one. Number two is maybe they'll be more garrulous to what transpired. But
yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in seeing what they would come up with for sure.
I feel like now when I see them,
Yeah, we're gonna ask.
I'm gonna be like, "This is who I want to talk to. Bring them forward, please."
yeah,
This old giggling granny up here. I
Yeah.
want to see.
We'll see him in a month and a half, won't we?
Yeah,
I think for the most part, again, exploring a lot of these. I mean, yes, the generalized aspect of what they do, we all kind of consider it that it is appeasing family members still here. You know, we're okay. You go on with your life. You know, we're watching over your kids, things of that sort. But there have been those unique encounters that didn't have anything relatable to a client there, and I'm wondering. Again, I want to test those waters so bad, but I'm 2,000 miles away.
I'm not against it.
No, by no means.
As long as
Um,
they're cool with
I
it.
was gonna say as long as they feel
Yeah, if
comfortable.
they're cool with it, let's do it.
in the pursuit of what you're doing now with the podcast, with the crime series, I want to ask you how how much of a possibility is it in the future for you guys to seek out some more of these locations? Yes, we know Amityville, but Amityville is not just about people dying because of someone going insane and then turning it into something paranormal, but there are others. The house in Kansas, I can't remember the name of it right now, Sutter Home, where the book In Cold Blood was based upon. That place has never been investigated ever. And for a while, it was up for sale. And I don't know who's purchased it since.
Yeah.
But these are those questions. You know, when you go to, a Son of Sam location, or you go to a Ted Bundy location, wherever that may be, to be able to interact and capture evidence with regards to that, would that kind of go as a hand in hand to the research you're doing as they were living to where they are now as deceased?
I would love to do that, honestly.
I mean, I'd be interested in doing it. I just think that, like,
We've talked about the Fox Hollow Farm.
I know we have, in order to do that, like, it'd be a very tricky situation to navigate, especially if the victims' families, like, that's just opening wounds and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I would feel like I would need to get permission from them. Do you feel okay? Are you comfortable with me doing this? Because, like, I feel like at some point I was like, I want to investigate where they, the victims have been found. But at the same time, there's a level of, if I had a family member that was a victim of that, would I be okay with someone just poking around,
I see what you're
investigating
saying.
type thing? Like, I would want to get the okay from the family members before I did something, just because, I don't know, I feel like that.
I could tell you when I went to Villisca,
Uh-huh.
it was a paranormal investigation, but shortly turned into, let's try to figure out who this killer was.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's all it turned into, was trying to figure that out. And I feel like going to any of those locations, that's what it's going to end up being. Do you know what I mean? Trying to figure out why, when, how this happened, rather than is their entity still here? Which I'll take both. I would like to do both, to be honest. I would want like 4 or 5 days at a location.
And that's the thing. You not every single killer, serial killer that's been captured and eventually executed, were as talkative as an Ed Kemper, who just poured it all out there. And so be able to make that contact with them. And of course, there's the other part, as you just talked about, Richel, which is the victims. If you were to go out to Long Island, where the murders were done for the Long Island killer, maybe making contact with the family members there. And that may be a healing process for the survivors, for the family members out there. But again, trying to figure out the rationale, and perhaps in that state of moving on, a more coherent explanation to why they did what they did.
Yeah, awesome.
I think it's a fascinating blend between the two.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you have a psychic that can pinpoint where murders have happened. or where somebody's gone missing.
or where bodies are
Or
buried
yeah.
and things like that.
So they're using sort of like a side of the paranormal to help them figure this out. And there have been cases where that's worked out for sure. Yeah, it's a great point.
Let's talk about you guys' social media because it's a very important part of who you guys are now. I mean, you're on multiple platforms, uh, and some of them are in the aspect of humor, which is important because I cannot stand mundaneness when it comes to paranormal investigators. It's just, it's a cliche almost. It's having fun, lightening up. It's an important part of who you are, and it helps you mentally when you guys are on the road so much. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Well, we're heathens.
We talk about it all the time. We talk about it on the podcast, like when we were doing the serial killer season, and now when we're recording our new season, guys. It should be out sometime, whenever. Don't know yet. But we've got 2 episodes down, and I will say I make jokes to deal with uncomfortable things.
Yes.
Because it's a coping mechanism for me. Like if I can be like, it's dark humor. And I think that like a bunch of people, you either like it or you don't. Like you either are like, that's in poor taste, or you're like, okay, I see what you did there. And like, it made it not as heavy, even though it is a heavy topic. And when we go to investigate, I think that us going in there being so serious, no one wants to hang out with the people that are no fun. Like,
thank you.
We try to have fun everywhere we go. Okay, it's fun to investigate in our eyes. Yes, there are times, lots of times, where it needs to be serious tone. You're trying to help people out, all that stuff. But we're going to still try to have fun while we're doing that.
And when we have private cases, we don't joke around. It's very serious. Like we have someone who is concerned about something, so we are going to, try to figure out answers for them. Like we may like occasionally joke with each other, but it's not the same as like going in there when we're just going to investigate just to investigate. Like, I mean, we have our new show coming out, Adventures with Brichel, the road trip on Beacon TV, and that is literally us going to investigate. Like sometimes we'll just be sitting there. We won't be investigating all. We're just sitting in the area talking.
If you go on an event with us, I can assure you this, we are going to try to make it fun for you. And in doing that, we do what we do best, and we just have fun. You know what I mean?
How much of what your investigations are, or have you included this in your investigations, nonchalant performing? In other words, not really pushing the issue of, can you answer this question? Can you speak on this? Can you activate this? But kind of just hanging out together, waiting for the activity to start up around you.
I feel
And
like
what have you normally done with that?
I feel like that is a main investigation thing that we do together. We will ask questions in the beginning, like introduce ourselves and like
State
let
our
them know
mission.
our mission.
Oh,
Okay,
there's
soldier.
military. Marine.
Marine. Hoorah. Sorry. Anyway, so we'll state like what we're doing there, tell them what our equipment is and like how we want them like to interact with us, and try to give them like a heads up of what we're doing. And we'll ask a couple questions, but if that's not going to get anything going, we'll start talking to each other, because I feel like that actually makes them be like, hey, you were talking to us and now you're not paying attention to us. Like, and then our equipment typically goes off like, hey, I've got something to say to you.
One of the best moments that's happened to us on any investigation, we had no equipment charged. It all had been dead for hours. It was towards the end of the night, and we weren't doing any kind of questions. We were literally talking to each other, and full body apparition walked right past us or down the hall from us. 6 people saw it. We can account for everybody in the building, and we were not trying to do any investigating at all. So, but then there are all those days that we go with us, like a strict protocol. We're here to help this lady out. We're here to help this person out. We're going to ask these questions and stick to more of a ghost hunters format.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you too. from the television show aspect and the rigidity behind that, the do's and don'ts, to having the freedom of being creative again, which you have to be when you're out in the field, not redundant. And unfortunately, too many of the shows, and I think that's what killed the shows, were repeatedly doing the same thing week in and week out.
Well, the thing about it is, like, I'll just say a couple things on Ghost Hunters so with Ghost Hunters, we weren't allowed to sit. We weren't supposed to sit. They're like, nobody wants to watch you sitting. And I'm like, but if you stand, you end up swaying and shuffling and making too much noise. And sometimes we have equipment that needs to be set down. Like, I like to use the binaural, but like, you can't walk around with binaural. You have to sit down with it. Otherwise you get horrible feedback. Like, it has to be specific, like the ears, the recorder, you, otherwise you're going deaf type thing. And I can say, when I investigate, I always sit down. I try to make myself extremely small in the room so I look less intimidating to whoever's there. Because, like, if I'm and a lot of times when I'm standing, I will cross my arms in front of me and I look like I don't want you to talk to me at all. I'm like, this isn't an opening pose for anyone to come up and speak to me. So I like to sit down because I feel like it looks less threatening. Like, oh, she's just over there, small, sitting in the corner, like, so we can talk. That, and then also, I will say, when people finally met us in person, how many times did people say, I didn't realize you guys were as funny as you are? Like, they don't show that on Ghost Hunters. And I was like, it wasn't that we weren't cutting jokes. It's that the editors took them out. They're like,
Right.
guys, this is supposed to be serious. And we're like, we get that. But like, that's not, you picked us for a reason and for our chemistry or whatnot. And if you're going to cut out us actually being friends, then why'd you pick us?
Yeah, you're being censored. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the executive producer, we had a producer on that told us that we need to be more serious. And we were like, okay. So we were more serious. And then that got sent back to, the bigwigs. And the executive producer called and was like, what the hell's going on, guys? We're like, what are you talking about? He's like, what is the shit I'm watching? We're like, what do you mean? He's like, you guys are just like, you have no personalities out there. He's like, what's going on? He's like, you're not making jokes. He's like, you're not entertaining me. He's like, what's going on? I was like, we were told to be serious. Who told you that?
Then it was BU.
I was like, I really don't know. I don't remember who told us that. I just know that. And he was like, listen, be yourself, because that's what I hired you for. Be yourself. He's like, if I don't want it, I won't use it. And
You'll definitely see us in Adventures with Brichel, the road trip. When you get to see those episodes, you'll get to see how we are normally, how we investigate. Not that we weren't ourselves on Ghost Hunters, because we were 100%. We were.
Yeah.
But when you see the Adventures with Brichel, the road trip, you'll see how we are.
Yeah, Beacon actually isn't wanting. They want our personalities. They want the banter and stuff. So, yeah.
Excellent. We got a little clip here if you folks want a little sneak peek here before we talk about what's in your future. So enjoy.
Maybe you can use this to give us your name. Maybe you can use this to give us your name. At all? Why did I say that? At all? What does that have to do with anything?
What you can expect, Brian, is just, hey,
Don't
Why I said
pay
that.
no attention to Brian. He's just a Manchurian candidate. That's all.
that's all.
Just
Just
straight up
first
said,
things
at
out.
all.
But before we do leave, because I know we're going to say goodbye to you guys real quick, I want to go over some of what's going on, let everybody know where you're going to be. So
Wait a minute. They're both leaving?
Yeah, we got families that we gotta feed and things.
Yeah.
We forget we're in a different time zone.
You
Okay.
can also come back anytime you guys want us.
Yeah. Well, I have a thing I'm going to talk to you guys about because in our group, we suddenly have an retired FBI profiler. Not a profiler, but he reads body language.
Okay.
And so we are going to play a series of prison interviews with guys like DeFeo, Bundy, and some others. And we're going to have David on to read their body language to find out whether or not they're telling the truth or they're lying or embellishing. So it's nice having him around, let me tell you.
Not bad.
I want to play that game.
So what I would like to do is when that time comes, let you know when we establish it, and maybe you guys can come back on live and talk to David.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I do want to play the game. Like I want us to be like, oh, we're gonna say, like they say something, and then we get to say whether we think they're lying or telling the truth, and then he tells based off of science.
Right.
Is this a competition between me and you?
No, I said we as a unit.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Against, a professional.
Yeah. So this guy actually travels the country going to different law enforcement agencies, teaching them how to read body. He's been involved with.
You went on mute, Ken, or somebody muted you. There we go. Now you're back. Now you're off. So weird.
We don't need to hear this stuff. They say, you don't need to know where he's at.
No idea. There we go. All right, try now.
You're good.
George is good.
Yeah. Ken, want to speak? I think we can hear you now.
His little mic thing.
We're worried about StreamYard. We've been talking about this too, that we may be looking.
Lost my mic. Am I back?
You're back. You're a little low, but you're back.
Hang on.
I don't think it's your mic. I think it's your computer audio. And now we got you guys kind of locked.
Now we're good. Now we're
Here we
good.
go. Now we're going to bring you guys back on when we do the paranormal game shows on a Sunday night. Cody and Satori compete, and Aaron and Carrie compete. So we may do that one time with you guys on the weekend.
While we're on that, I also have a message here. They're on the road, but they said, if we don't make it, make sure you razz them about how Satori and I are going to beat them at the celebrity bartending at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. So the gauntlet has been
champions. As the defending, we have the trophy. Okay.
Yeah, on my.
Oh, you're the defending champs. Oh,
we are the defending champs. And
they're coming for you.
Cody and Satori, I think you know exactly how competitive I am. And Satori, Cody, you're both sweet. I'm not. I'm not sweet.
Good luck, guys.
We will win.
Right, well, let's talk about that. It is in July. We don't have the dates here. Oh, July 25th through 27th. You'll be at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash.
Yes.
Okay. And then you guys in August, Kansas State Penitentiary, Kansas City Paracon.
Yes.
You'll be there with our boy Dustin.
Love Dustin.
Great guy.
Yep. And then moving on, Old Harriman Hospital, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. Outstanding. 2 locations. And you're going to be there with a paranormal couple. So I'm sure they'll be bragging rights about bartending at that thing by then.
We'll show you guys our trophy for the 2nd year in a row at that event.
Okay, we're getting a little cocky now.
I'm surprised you're not parading that around. And finally, you guys can give us a load. This is in Vicksburg, Virginia. ScareCon.
Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And yeah, that is actually, I believe, is the 16th through the 18th of October. Yeah, we'll be there. It's going to be fun. We were there last year, and it was a lot of fun. have dinner, investigate multiple nights,
There's a
different
new
locations.
location there
A new
this year.
location. It's a train depot.
A train depot.
Which never investigated one of those, so I'm super excited about that. And it's a beautiful location that we stay at.
And the McRaven House is awesome.
And the McRaven House is awesome.
Okay.
So it's a fun time.
Yeah.
I could honestly say, in all the different guests that we've had on, and if you guys don't know the name, again, look up Dr. Ann Burgess. And once you do, it'll blow your mind. But of all the people we've had on the show, I don't think there's anybody that the camera loves more, that is more photogenic, dare I say, more beautiful than you, Brian. And I wanted to...
I can't agree anymore.
We were talking about this earlier. Some people are just photogenic and some people aren't, and he's just got it. He's been blessed.
You know what? It's
stupid.
Brian, give us blue steel.
Yeah.
There you go.
Is there a filter or something that makes you look that good?
Sunburn.
Is it split? Is the camera split? I'm just wondering. I think your title for bartending will be safe. If you guys have not had a chance yet, go to the channel and watch some of the new cooking series, Last Bites, and watch Satori's cooking abilities. So if it's anything like that with her bartending abilities, your championship is safe.
Satori, can you not cook?
We have a show on here, and people have left recipes engraved on their headstones.
Well, hot damn.
So we take those recipes. There you go. We take those recipes and we recreate them.
Okay.
Cody Satori and I are involved, and so far, so good. So far, so good. But it's hysterical.
Well, when we're in town, let's do it all together.
Okay.
When
are you in town?
I'm going to be in town for her wedding. I'm going to come whenever she asks me to come. Do all
it's 2026.
You know,
I'm going to be in town in November for New Jersey.
Oh, all right. Well, then fine.
Yeah.
We were in Boston in April.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how.
Well, you come here and we'll do it. We'll all do it together. You got a place to stay. You're all set.
We're in.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll talk.
Right on.
Brian, Richel, thank you guys so much. As always, your family, you're always welcome back. And, hopefully sometime here in the future, we will all get together. Again, it's a little bit tough for me down in Florida here, but, you never know what the future presents. So, but
we appreciate you guys having us again.
Yes, thank you
Let's
so
do it
much.
again
We
sometime.
always have fun. And, let's start planning now.
Yeah.
Then we're going to come back on just so we can get our schedules lined up.
I'm going to keep you in the loop with David and everything else.
Yes.
We'll bring you guys on in, how about 4 minutes from now?
I don't think I can feed the kids that quickly. I mean,
all right, we're going to take a real quick break here, guys. And when we come back, it'll be Ken and I debating something. You never know what it's going to be. Brian, Richel, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a happy upcoming 4th of July. Enjoy on your travels, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, we'll be right back. You're watching Dead or Live on the Dead or Full Spectrum channel.
We'll be right back after these commercial messages.
Now showing on Dead Air Full Spectrum YouTube channel.
New episodes of Extremely Strange coming soon.
every alternate Thursday on our channel.
Every Thursday. Opposite. Well, that was weird.
In cemeteries across the world, some headstones hold more than just names and dates. They preserve cherished family recipes, etched in stone as a lasting tribute. These recipes are more than instructions for a dish. They are connections to loved ones, memories of shared meals, and a way to keep traditions alive. In this series, we'll be honoring these unique culinary legacies by bringing these recipes to life. With respect and gratitude, we'll cook the dishes exactly as they were meant to be enjoyed.
New episodes of Last Bite coming soon.
And now,
welcome to my party, we're just getting started. A life is a dream or a nightmare scarring. Hand me a drink cause I think I'm going all in. Get me a shrink who can catch me when I'm falling. Cover up my scars, flip the handlebars, crashing in my car, wake up in a bar, I'll be a superstar.
And once again, a big thank you to all of our Patreon members. Actually, thank you to everybody that comes and watches us, both here on YouTube and also our Patreon members. Tomorrow night, we'll get into topics such as Karen Reed, where Ken is probably going to say some things that YouTube would not like. That's why it's better on Patreon. And also, hopefully, we'll get the evidence that was put together from our Patreon paranormal pals that are out there, including Sandy, Jason, Gene. Who else is with that group? I'm trying to remember.
Jason, Sandy, Amanda goes sometimes, Gene, and I know I'm leaving out somebody, but
I have no idea yet. But yeah, you guys can always come and subscribe. All you need to do is go to patreon.com, Dead Air Paranormal. $3 a month, and you get a chance to enjoy all of the different things that we present on there, including the live town hall each and every Monday night. Hope to see you there. You be on screen with us, and we have guests from time to time and incredible discussions. It's kind of like just a gathering of minds. So we'd love to see you come join us also. Ken, who do we have coming up over the next couple of shows?
Well, next week, and first, I want to preface that by saying those of you who are watching us on YouTube, you will notice that the chat was disabled tonight. I got a heads up from people watching that the video, that the live stream tonight has been demonetized. That's, demon is in that word. Demonetized. And the chat room has been disabled, likely because of the subject matter that we had chosen to take on tonight, which is new because we've certainly had those type of discussions, and maybe it was a video, maybe it was any one of a number of things, but we just ask you to hang in there. Not our fault on our end, but Big Brother does watch from time to time. So thank you for your patience. With that said,
next week we're going to do a show that is the Ghosts of Disney. We'll probably get hit from Disney on that one.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, we'll get whacked by them. Next week we are welcoming. This was a shot in the dark that I took, but our guest name is Major Laurie Rayfeld. And Major Rayfeld was on duty and head of security at RAF Bentwaters, otherwise known as Rendlesham. So those of you who are familiar with the Rendlesham UFO case, she is going to come on and talk about some experiences that she had prior to December 25th, 1980, when all of that took place. So she's going to give us another perspective on that. So we are looking forward to that for sure. 4th of July weekend, we are taking off. We will return with an old friend, Christopher Rondina, author and former host of Monsters, Mysteries, Monday Night Monsters here on Dead Air. He has a new book concerning the Beast of Gervedon, which is a werewolf story, and he traveled to France to research it, as he did with the Headless Horseman, the Hessian soldier in Germany. So it'll be good to talk to Christopher again. So we've got some really kind of exciting things coming up for you. We're looking forward to the conversations. So
I don't know what that man does for work, but these trips are just, I'm jealous.
Yeah, he is actually a guide at Mystic, Connecticut, and gets to go on all the cool schooners and ships there and tell pirate stories and or ghost stories, and hosts youth groups that go on and spend the night. So that is absolutely right up his alley. He's working in the right field right now.
Wait, that's his job?
That's his job.
Oh my God, they pay well.
Well, you know, they kind of you know, you fall into the right type of thing, you know.
Yeah, it's the funny part about it, you know, it's almost as if the universe has flipped, because the big money that everybody and every guest we've ever talked about this all denied it. The big money was being a star on a TV show, and that really wasn't the fact of the matter. They were paid peanuts, considered, you know, what kind of money that the networks were making. It was, I think, the only way they really kind of made it up was going to the conferences and getting paid that way. But tour guide, I never would have thought that. You know, and
Sure.
was I think it was Grant Wilson that was on the show that said, when we're looking for team members, we're not looking for ghost hunters. We're looking for professionals in certain fields that benefit us for the debunking side of it. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, Brian Murray, for example, is former law enforcement, so he brings that sort of systematic thinking to it. You heard him talk about going into these places, going into Villisca, and taking all the clues and evidence and what we have documented and trying to establish who might have done this thing. I think that's probably in his DNA, which is a good thing to have someone run through a process like that. And I mean, hey, why not? You know, it's whatever motivates him to do these type of things. So everybody brings a little something different to the table. And in Brian's case, it's you know, the approach of someone who was in law enforcement and the U.S. Marines.
We've had quite a few former law enforcement
Sure.
as guests on the show that turned into investigators, and again, you wonder how many more. There's, I think, a lot of people that were nurses that got into this field also, and they even had their own stories from the hospitals that they were at. But you wonder, you know, if you were going to try to guess what's the most common career that has entered into the field, what would you surmise that be? I don't think
Oh
not
God,
construction,
there's such, a wide spectrum of people
not
that are
plumbers.
interested in this. First responders kind of are the ones who stand out, whether it's Stan and John or Brian or Steve DeShavi, they stand out because of the high profile. But people come from all walks of life, so it would be hard to nail down, whether it was finance or business or, anything like that, because the field doesn't require a certain discipline or degree or anything like that. So I wouldn't even venture a guess as to say, what that might be.
And what's interesting, and I guess it's wiring, Ken, more than else, the mental wiring. Those people who are of considerable means look at the financial benefit to this. In other words, they're not driven by passion, they're still driven by revenue. Most of them are either wanting to get a production going or the purchase of a property, but are not really invested by the simple aspect of I want answers, I want contact with spirit. Um, it would be a much more fulfilling field to have that kind of revenue behind us as investigators. We just don't see enough of that.
Yeah. I mean, and that's fine if people pursue that, but I think the viewing audience is smarter than they're giving credit for, because now we have the skeptics, debunkers out, they're frauds, they're fake, they fake this. And I don't know. I think that people are discerning enough and smart enough to know that there's a lot of performative art out there. They're watching it for the entertainment value. And I think they know that, whether it's personalities, the humor, however it's portrayed, that people are smart enough to know the difference. And they watch it for the entertainment value anyway, and they have every right to do that. So if you want to call out people for, being over the top or faking or whatever they're doing, it's all well and good. But I think a lot of times they preach to the choir on that. And, people understand that. They know that there is the entertainment part of this and then, the investigative part of it. I mean, they're not going to send cameras into a hospital, with rare exceptions, for reality shows. If you want to watch Dr. Pimple Popper, then that's up to you. But the dramatized part of the medical field, and you can go watch ER or any one of a number of shows out there where they take license with it. And so I think that people are able to tell the difference between the reality aspect of it and the entertainment aspect of it. And the paranormal is no different than anyone or anything else, whether it's a show about fishermen or, house selling a house, real estate, refurbishing, flipping houses. There's the real world, and then there's the dramatized part of it. And I think people are smart enough to understand the difference between the two.
Well, I tend to agree with you in the sense that what is out there, and a lot of it that is portrayed as being realistic, and I'm not just talking about the paranormal field, but it's not. And it just takes a little bit of time to watch the pattern and say, people don't act like this in any capacity whatsoever. So same applies for this field. My thoughts are with regards to spirit. Is there a sweet spot between the two? Meaning, you have team number one that is just posting on their own social media, be it Facebook, YouTube, what have you, and their routine is mundane. Their investigative style is mundane. It's low key. There's no excitement. what does that speak of for the spirits? Do they want to bother? Then you have the theatrical, who have a hell of a lot more followers, a hell of a lot more likes. What they're doing on social media, does that also draw in spirit more because of the scream factor and the run factor and the loudness factor? And I know this is all straight conjecture and hypothesis, but which of the two you think would produce more as far as evidence collection?
Well, it's a question of attendance. And what I mean by that is how many people are in there filming and doing this. I mean, you can tell the really polished productions, the type of cameras, the level of equipment, some real upscale type stuff. I think that I don't see why either would produce better evidence. It's just a matter of what it is that you're looking for. If you are looking for eyeballs on you, and network TV went through this, when you have a case that you get nothing from, that doesn't drive sponsorship. Everyone expects you to come up with something. And we've heard it from people involved in the field where they would do 3 locations in a short span of time. And then someone who decides will say, well, that's the one that produced what we think will grab the audience. So I don't think it's a matter of one gets more than the other. It's just a matter of what it is that you're doing. When we put our live investigations on here, people who have seen them know that we have a good time. We joke with each other. We have a lot of laughs. But we're going about our business seriously. And, it's very much like, hey, if we have bad Wi-Fi and our cameras aren't doing the right thing, it's not polished, but at the end of the day, we are seeking to document evidence, whereas someone else is just wants to document drama and things like that. It all depends where your goal comes from. We're out for the evidence. If it's all about the production, then the evidence that you might catch may be coincidental. Am I making sense? Like you might stumble into it by accident because that's not necessarily your number one goal.
Right. Well, I mean, here again, these are the different things that are not, to my knowledge, tested in this field yet. And there may be some obscure investigative teams that are out there that are thinking outside the box. I wish they were thinking outside the box and weren't trying to copy what they see on the television shows or on their social media heroes. But, an example of what I think would be an interesting test on it really kind of addresses your residential cases with Rise of Paranormal as well. But to have 2 teams or 1 team split, doesn't matter how you do it. The first team goes in and just raises holy hell. Just overly dramatic, overly emotional, overly communicative as far as the threats or, the panic mode, whatever they want to do to raise up their energies to see what happens, leave, and then have a very sober, somber team come in that's just down to the nitty gritty without all the theatrics and see as to whether or not, I don't want to necessarily say that they're picking up an echo of what the first team did, but I'm wondering whether or not that energy gets amped up in the room. Another team comes in. Is that amped up energy now going to be responsive to this quieter team? Is that energy now happy that that first team left, and now they're willing to communicate with the quiet? You follow my methodology of what I'd love to see here.
I think that would be more something that you do in a public place rather than a residential,
Of
because
course.
residentials are probably not the time to experiment with emotions, experiment
Absolutely
with
not.
equipment, experiment with techniques. Sure.
No, not to misunderstand what I'm saying. This training or this theory should be practiced, as you said, in a commercial location, an
Right.
abandoned location. But to prove that fact or that theory that Rise of Paranormal goes in after the crazy team went in, and to discover as to whether or not the activity has been amped up.
Yeah. We've kind of done that, and the results have always been the opposite. Um, we found either mundane explanations or something that's, a lot more palatable and calm. We've run into some pretty anxious and amped up clients from previous teams,
Sure.
but again, that's the price that we all have to pay, or the cross we all have to bear with what is going on in terms of everyone's impression of what the paranormal is. Because everybody's got a phone, everybody watches YouTube, everybody watches streaming services, and that is how they're fed, allegedly, how I'm talking about paranormal field, go about our business, because we're never going to do a video where we want to talk about some kind of dysfunction between two team members. Well, we thought we'd address this because Ken and Cody right now, they're going, they're having at each other. So, we want to discuss this. I mean, it's number one, we don't think our lives are that important. And number two, that is not the purpose of what we do. If we've done videos like on Maplecroft, Lizzie Borden House, 14,000 people have watched this thing. 40,000 people have watched this. But it's never been about, now we have to do a follow-up video, because on that video, you'll notice that Ken and Cody were kind of sniping at each other. So now we have to make a video to address that, which falls into the drama category,
Right.
which everybody would come running. So the idea is Cody and I could say, hey, let's pretend like we're mad at each other. And we can do a video where we're both sitting down apologizing for our actions. It takes on paranormal soap operas.
But a good concept from an investigation standpoint, if you guys plot before going into the building, hey, Cody, let's have some sort of an antagonistic scenario between you and I, and see whether or not, there's a nosy ninny that's a ghost in there that is just loving the confrontation. That's great. That's a scenario to play out and test. But to do it, to draw in that audience, you're missing the mark. What it is that we're supposed to be doing out there, everything is up for experiment. Everything, and it's not done enough, because I think we've become extremely reliant upon the equipment, the technology, and not within our own creativity as human beings to see whether or not we could capture something. Hell, you put a book standing up on end in the middle of the room, and you use no equipment, rather than the lights and the buzzes and the this and that going off. If that book fell over, that would be a highlight reel and a half for me, to be able to see that. That is far more substantial of a piece of evidence than any piece of equipment that buzzes and blinks could ever provide for me, ever.
The sad part about that, the buzzes and the flashing lights and everything are what they are. But if you did that with a book, a considerable size of people who are interested in this out there would immediately call us as frauds.
Of course.
We faked it. There's a string, you tip the table. How do we know? that,
Yeah.
well, you don't. Newsflash,
Yeah.
ding, ding, ding. You don't. What more can you offer somebody, other than to say, yeah, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't know.
Ken, the door behind you could swing open right now with nobody
hope.
coming in. And it's Dawn laying on the floor and pushing it open with her right hand as she lays out of camera view. And it's, like I said, it's not for me an important aspect at this point in time about presenting evidence, but trying to elicit a response and make it consistent. Make it a situation that we can find a technique or trick that is going to be working on a regular basis. And again, when you bring out all the different equipment that's provided out there right now, it's convoluted, and the same category and the same thing comes up. Well, you can't really go on that, what those lights are lighting up, because you don't know what transmissions are making it react.
Well, it leads me to this, and this was something that, if we had a little more time, I was going to ask Brian and Richel tonight, but we did ask Grant and Rihanna this question, and they appreciated the question, that you get into this to prove or disprove the existence of the afterlife, right? So if, you're a skeptic, you come at it from one perspective. If you have an inquisitive mind, or if you're a believer, you have a bias there. But let's say you go into this objectively, which is what I always did. At some point, if you stay in this long enough, you're going to get your answer, right? So I've had enough experiences that I can say, I do believe that there's something else out there. I have evidence, not just my belief or wanting to believe this. Things have happened that I'm saying there is definitely something more to this. Okay, whether that's the tapping method or something visual or something documented. So once you've proven to yourself that this does exist and you've scratched that off the checklist, are these things real? And then you come to the conclusion, yes, they are. Where do you go from there? Like, why do you stay in the field? Why do you continue to do this? Because people who say, I'm trying to prove the existence. Well, if you've already done that, even if it's to yourself, I would say I don't care what the rest of the world or science or anybody thinks, because I've got my own answers. So what is it we're doing from there? What keeps us interested in this? So the idea that anything that you're trying to do to prove the existence, my question would be, who are you trying to prove it to? Are you still pursuing that idea where we're trying to bring, them into the flock and convince everyone? Is it you're trying to convince science? Are you trying to convince the skeptics? Are you trying to convince the believers or give them more? So experiments are all well and good, but I would rather do them in deference to the spirits. In other words, hey, we're going to try something different here. Let's have some fun. Let's see if you can do this.
Right.
It's almost like between us and them, because if I put the book falling over, they're going to line up in droves. Oh, that was fake, and they'll give you any one of 20 reasons. So I no longer do this to prove it to the world. I think we all in our group do it to commune or to communicate with the spirits, let them give us a message, however that happens. And and we're happy to do that.
Well, that's it. I'm going to assume you were presumptuous that I meant in front of a camera. You could do that entire book topple with just the group in your room. That's
Right.
the satisfaction. That's the amazing side. You cannot, when you feel yourself being touched, you cannot validate that with anyone else unless you have the hair being pulled up, things of that sort. You can't validate it other than that personal experience. Well, that's what it all comes down to. I can tell you right now that I have not stepped out of this house and gone on an investigation in probably 7 to 10 years because of my obligations here.
Mhm.
All of it otherwise is experienced through this two-dimensional screen, whether it's collective consciousness experiments with Terry and Tracy, whether it's going on an investigation with you guys live here on a broadcast. But to me, it comes down to that personal experience more than anything else. And I
Mhm.
could have that right here in my home. I don't need to have it where it's on broadcast. I don't need to validate it to anybody because people look to knock you down, knock you completely off of that pedestal and say, you faked it, it's fraud,
Yeah.
you imagined, whatever it may be. And I have no interest for that whatsoever.
No, I don't either. It's a fool's errand in this day and age to, you know, there's not enough cameras in the world to document everything that you do. And even if you have a camera filming a camera, filming a camera, filming a camera, if people run out of things, it's like, well, that was clever editing, Unfortunately, there are people who fake things. There is creative editing. Unfortunately, it does happen. So everybody gets thrown under the bus. It matters not whether it's a shadow figure or whatever, and we see them all the time. Seen it on our reaction videos. I was watching one the other day where somebody's panning a camera and then they go past a stairwell, nothing there. And for whatever reason, they film the wall. They pan back. Oh, there's like the girl from The Ring standing there. They supposedly never saw it. And then they pan back again to the wall and then pan back to the right and she's gone. And so, yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, the people that investigate these things, we're not all fools, as everybody would want to believe. We do take things apart, but this is why I would rather work with a group of people that have immense trust in each other, and whatever happens, happens.
And no interest in the social popularity game.
Social popularity. It's like people who, I've always been of the mind, let your work speak for you. You give yourself a nickname or declare yourself something, or, a lot of people do that because they're still trying to get that thing. And that's fine. You do you and enjoy, have fun. I hope it works out for you. Yeah. And everything that you said and done pays off, however it does. But we've always been more the ideas. I would rather have someone say to us, "You're welcome back anytime," than to get, 100 more views or something like that. Because those are the people we're dealing with. And 99 and 9/10% of the people that we do deal with, whether they're stewards of a building or owners of a property, they could care less about YouTube and videos and anything like that. They just want some answers. So I would rather be welcome and invited back anytime we want than just to, I mean, if you look at our Facebook pages and things, we don't even post where we go anymore.
Yeah.
Don't even post it. We don't even put a picture. So those, we got known as the tour group at Payne House and different places in Rhode Island. And that bothered me a little bit. It's like, that's what we were known as. Or, oh, he's the guy who does Ocean State Paracon. And I'm like, no, we're an investigative team. So we've kind of gone back to that now, to why we all are interested in this first. It's not about profile. It really is.
And don't get us wrong. As Ken and I are talking about this too, is we have a YouTube channel. It's a revenue stream. We have a Patreon channel. It's a revenue stream.
Yep.
But it's discussions and pondering and fun and entertainment and just trying to figure out this field and try to brush away a lot of the noise that we contend with week in and week out.
Right.
So it's we're not better. We just don't give a shit. We've got to that point in time in our life.
Guys, what you see here is what you get. We've gotten better over the years, like anything else that you do. We've gotten better at talking to people, interviewing people, trying to give them good questions, trying to get out of the way when it's time to get out of the way and not go into these lengthy, how we feel. We could do that anytime, well, this is how I feel. We're doing it right now. So we don't need to pontificate about that every weekend. Sometimes you have to lead a guest. Sometimes there are things you go into. Sometimes there's things that you don't. But essentially, what you see is what you get. And it's always been kind of like an inside joke to me and George. It's like we're just not controversial enough. Being ourselves, just, it's not getting it done. Where's our 17 million subscribers on here?
Yeah, I think again, it's a lot of this when it comes to the streaming services, the platforms. It's a game for the young. We say that time and again. It's a lot of work. We had Paranormal Tease on, and that she posts every day multiple videos. Ken and I are just not built that way. We're just not.
And that's no knock to her because I watch them and they're great, by the way.
Yeah.
Just not our thing. It's like I'm not going to show you a picture of my breakfast every morning. Look, I had eggs.
No. But we enjoy what it is that we do. We enjoy the fact that you guys are here with us. Again, as Ken said earlier, we apologize that YouTube has knocked out the chat tonight because
that sucks.
The certain verbiage in the first half or the video that was played, though it was on silent, may have affected it. They're weird about that. And yet there are documentaries on the same channel talking about the same topic. Where do you think I got that from? So I don't understand the rhyme or reason. Ken and I have been trying to figure it out for years, and it's almost as if every time you think you figured out the answers, they change the questions. And so what are you going to do?
There are things that when we say, this interests us. Now, Brian and Richel, if you want to hear us talk strictly about the paranormal, go back in the archives and find the previous interview we did with them. When we asked them about these things, we basically took an interest they have on their podcast. And we said, okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about how the paranormal relates to that. It's like there's only so many times I can ask somebody, do you have any rituals you do before you go into a haunt? Oh, yes, I surround myself with white light. And, folks, as people who do this, there is nothing I love better than tonight when... And it doesn't matter if it's George or I, when the guest says, that's a really great question. That's a really good question. Okay.
That's our reward.
That makes us proud that we have asked them something that they're not beaten to death with. We joke about what's the scariest place you've ever been to. It's like, we don't ask stuff like that. We like to find out something about the person, but
not to mention, again, when the chat is up and running, the questions that you guys ask are fantastic. It's a 1-2 punch for our guests, and I think they really appreciate that. So it doesn't seem redundant. Just a little note too, Ken. I got a message back from Barry Kling that he sent out notification to the Ghost Brothers and to Deborah Wilson. to try and reach out to me. So I haven't really checked email tonight. Hopefully we'll get that. But we've got, again, a great show for you guys coming up next Sunday, tomorrow night, Monday Night Town Hall. So we hope all of our Patreon members will come and join us. And then the 4th of July weekend will be off, because I'm sure as all of you will also be taking that long weekend for barbecue and some sunshine. Hopefully it's not too hot where you're at. And then we will return the following week with Chris Rondina. And God knows what this summer is going to bring for us. Hopefully, if it stays this hot, everybody's going to come and do a show in the air conditioning and comfort of their home instead of being out in a hot air conditionless location.
We have some things in the fire here, and we cannot talk about them because they haven't been confirmed. But if it all plays out, you're going to see a few more live investigations.
Zach Bagans?
Yeah. So you'll see some live investigations, some different people. And as we always like to do, that we're really enjoying now, is we love to bring you folks that maybe you haven't heard of, or who are on a different platform, like, whether it's Ashley Bean or Paranormal Tej, Taylor, her real name, Alex Gasca. Oh my God, who did we just have on?
It's just one of those things right now that the field is growing exponentially, but not on your local cable network. A lot of those are just reruns, replays. There are very creative people out there, and I don't mean creative with regards to creating content, creative in the field, thinking in other aspects, and bringing fresh ideas and fresh tactics to what it is that we do. And love having them coming on and introducing you guys to them. So more to come.
Yeah, I want to talk about one thing with you, and this is a big tease, but when we sign off, you and I need to stay on for a brief minute.
Fair enough. All right. Well, then we're going to let you guys go for a Sunday night. Thank you so much, as always. Apologies for the blockage, but hopefully that next time we talk about things, we'll start using code words like
with the bad boys of the paranormal.
Yeah. You guys have a great night. Patreon members, see you tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Until then, you've been watching Dead Air Live on the Dead Air Full Spectrum channel. My name is George Lopez with Ken DaCosta. Have a great night, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Take care.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees.